Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chris Shear, and Bruce Ross is going to walk us through the next section of our continual improvement series, where we really want to help you drive business success without the pain. Today, we're going to talk about the most important competency, and we're actually covering some things that we've covered in the past, but there's some key changes here that we think are really important for you. So Mike could not join us today, but with that, I'm going to let Bruce kick off this presentation, and really, would love to hear from you what you think about this, because this is an area that people really find they have not thought about. All right, Bruce.
Terrific. Okay, so what I'm interested in are the subtle distinctions that made a significant difference. We're looking to invert some of your common trainings, if you like, around business and business leadership. And today is going to be a continuation of that process. So we're going to be looking at a number of distinctions. And some of this, if you've been watching these series since we've been taking them, you'll recognize, but I'm going to take it further and deeper, because I want to get down and drive down to what I believe is the most important competency for any leader, any human, any husband, wife. It is at the very core of having well-being, having success, having capability in our lives. And very few people talk about it. So let's get into it. So I'm going to be covering a little bit of ground we've covered before. So for those who haven't seen it, what we're talking about here is there are three essentials for success in anything. The first thing you need is vision. You need to have clarity about where you're going. What does the outcome look like? That makes sense. There's no news in that. We've heard this before. The other thing we need is action. We clearly need to be taking massive action, steps towards it. And if we break that down, it's into the area of the tools and strategies and processes. So if you could click the next slide there, Chris. This is all the things that you typically associate with a business. So I need to organize this. I need to work on that. What are the plans? What are the strategies? This is where our default is. And next click to Chris. So you'll begin to see this is a model we put together, a freedom framework, that these are the key elements that most people associate with business. And this is what people's go-to is. Their default setting is that, yeah, but what are we doing in these areas? And right at the core is this red piece. And if you click again, Chris, what we see sits in behind, which is absolutely essential. The third part of this triumvirate is, in fact, mindset. It's the neglected runt of the litter. And you're probably thinking, yeah, I've heard somewhere in the back of my head in the white noise of business growth, there's this thing, mindset. And you probably dismissed it. And the reason is, and I agree, is because Mindset 101 was all around motivation. It was all around inspiration. But Mindset 201 is transformation, and that's what we are interested in. And so you would have been introduced somewhere, probably in the mindset piece, around change your physiology, because if you put a smile on your face, or if you change your posture, you'll change how you think. Great. You may have been introduced to reframing, and I'm a great advocate. I'm a big advocate of reframing, because you can take something that seems like problem to opportunity. There's a reframe. The only thing with those two or those areas is that they're temporary. They're not transformational. They don't move into the realm of permanent. And that's what I'm interested in, or that's what we're interested in on the program, is transformational shift and change, especially in the area of mindset. So this is what blows our hair back. So the mindset piece, let's just open this up a little bit further. If you can go further, Chris. So 80%. We believe that mindset is 80% of success. So if you look at how you think about your vision, how you think about the actions, how you think about taking action, and even how you think about yourself as a leader, how do you think about your team as the ability to contribute? This is all to do with mindsets, how you think about things, 80% of success. Yeah, next, Chris. So this is where we've encapsulated those three elements inside our diagram. Vision is to do with your ultimate business outcome. So your exit strategy. What are you doing all this for? It's ultimately for freedom, sense of freedom, financial freedom, psychological freedom, emotional freedom. But You need to have clarity as to why you're doing this for. That's the vision piece. Then we say right at the heart is mindset, and then you also need to incorporate and take action. So this is how the Freedom Framework came about, and we believe it is actually a significantly improved approach to how you consider business. Next step, Chris. So let's look at you and your world that you want financial freedom. Vision, got it. You want to scale your business. So you found your magic sauce, you're looking to grow, you're looking to extend. That's the action that you want to take. You want to scale your business. So we're now looking at the mindset piece. Next, Chris. Now, think about the actions you take as the how do I get to this freedom state, my vision. And then the mindset piece is, next click, Chris, is the, okay. Yeah, next click is the allow. The reason why there's the dotted line between the freedom and the how is that this is most people's default. They set a plan, they have a vision, set a plan, and they wonder why the plan isn't working. And the reason it's not working is because of the mindset piece. And within our mindset, split into two, you've got the thinking, the beliefs that allow, the empowering beliefs that allow you to achieve it. But then, and this sits in the 90% of the mental processing that is in the semi-conscious and unconscious, is in the disallow. So you may have the intention to do something. I'm going to do this. But if in the back of your mind you've got some belief that, yeah, but I'm not a particularly good leader, or I don't think I'm capable, that will trump and cause you to not take action. Procrastination, that's the not allow piece. Next click. Want to zero in. Oh, this is the, yeah. And next one, Chris. This is the impact. The reality is the mindset has a massive impact on your vision and your actions. It, in fact, needs to be the place that all thinking needs to start from, and all planning needs to start from, is how do we think about this? Are we energized? Are we not? Are we clear in ourselves or not? Aligned or not? Yep, next one, Chris. So the way to think about it is that if it is that you have the clarity and the alignment within your mindset, yes, you move easily into inspired action. If, however, you don't, there's some handbrake on or some bungee cable holding you back that's at a semi-conscious level, this is what's is called inaction, procrastination, avoidance, creative avoidance. And interestingly, the way the brain is architected is that as soon as you put something to someone, a change, we're going from this strategy to that strategy, they kick straight into, no, can't do it, objection, disallow. And that's why one of the key reasons why strategies are not adopted. There's little buy-in or little understanding about how the brain works. Okay, next, Chris.
So yeah, Bruce, I've been thinking through this really hard as you're talking about it. And I think most people probably think that this is the key, right? You either get that inspired action through allowing these thoughts, or end up with inaction by disallowing them. But I think there's probably one other point in here where we're going to get to what's really going on with that thinking. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to, thanks for that segue. We're going to dive straight in. We're going to look at this mindset piece, because we live in two states of being, only two. There is the beautiful state, and the beautiful state are all the emotions that feel good. So courage, confidence, intuition, creativity, compassion, clarity, calmness, presence, leadership presence sits in here in this beautiful state. The other state, the second state, is suffering. And these are all the emotions that don't feel good. So this is overwhelm, anxiety, insecurity, procrastination, perfectionism, self-doubt, criticism, judgment of others, judgment of self, etc., etc., etc. There are only two states, and we're either one state or the other state. We can't be in two at the same time. And there is absolutely no judgment with which state that you are in. There is, however, one thing that is wrong, if there is anything to be wrong. If you can go to the next slide, Chris. And that is that the beautiful state, you are resourced. You are in a resourceful state. If you can click that, Chris. where you are connected. You feel connected to yourself, you feel connected to others, you have this more of a holistic view, you think in terms of we. Your thinking is broader, you're more confident, you're more contributing, you're more robust, you can take the hits. In the suffering state, next click, we are resourceless. We are disconnected. We feel disconnected from ourselves. We feel disconnected from each other. We certainly feel disconnected from any sort of higher clarity, intuition, intelligence. And we focus, we obsess on the problem in front of us. What happens when we're in this suffering state is that we catastrophize. The nature of it is that we are mesmerized by the problem in front of us. Something triggers us, a comment, a flame email. We look at their bank account. We've just lost a major client. Something triggers us. And when we get triggered, we drop into this resourceless suffering state. We focus, tunnel vision focus purely on that problem. And we catastrophize. So it just doesn't become the first layer of problem. Oh, we've lost our client. It is, and the team is hopeless, and I am hopeless, and I am a failure, and I'm going to not pay my mortgage, and I'm going to be living under a bridge. And you're thinking,
so Bruce,
wow.
This is amazing. So this is not planned. It's an absolute coincidence. But I'm going to bring a real life story into this. For the past 4 days, I've been trying to help my wife with her work. I have nothing to do with her work. She works for a corporation, and she started this phase over the last several days where she was up till 6 in the morning on Friday night or Saturday morning. Didn't sleep Saturday night because she was working. Slept Sunday, and then Monday we were both up until 5 a.m. helping her on some work that just had to get done. And then finally last night we were up until about 4:30. And I'm coming into this fresh and resourceful. She was in exactly that state that you talked about. It was really bad. And I have to just say, like, it did not hit me until you started talking about this, that I saw it like directly. I mean, she didn't know what to do. And I'm looking at the same situation, and not to prolong the story, but we actually called other people at her work. They're in other countries and in different time zones like Bruce is. And that flipped immediately, right? Between my helping her and talking to other people that calmly walked through it. We gave some work to other people, and it was immediate, right? That it was like, I've never seen anybody in such a desperate position trying to get something done with absolute sleep deprivation. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of weird that happened right as you're going through this. So
totally,
anyway.
totally. So we are talking here in very clarity. The real clarity is this resourceful state is energized. It's open. It's open for new ideas. It's in fact soliciting for new ideas. It's incorporating new ideas. It's the best place to be. Even if you're dealing with problems, it's a great place to be. The resourceless state, we feel immobilized. We feel impotent. We feel castrated. We feel fractured. It's not a nice place to be. And certainly as a leader, my definition of leadership is that you're the still place in everyone else's changing world. That is, you are in the resourceful place when everyone else is suffering. How then, the big question is, how do you get back? So this area of the two states, it's huge. That you only have one problem in life. You, me, listeners, Chris, we all only ever have one problem in life, and that is our suffering state. It is kryptonite. We're supposed to be powerful creators, i.e. beautiful state. But when we are triggered and we drop down, we're immobilized. And all we can connect to is animal intelligence, basic reactivity. You're about to say something there, Chris?
It's just so true. I've seen it. I mean, it was like the depths of despair. I don't know what to do. Like, I have no idea how to move forward. Immobilizing completely.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. So I've put the 70% here. The interesting thing is, in the unexamined mind, because of the way the brain is organized and its architecture, the orientation towards our thinking is what's called a negative bias. We have 70% of our thinking is negative, i.e. suffering. 70%. So 70% of your staff's time and thinking is in react mode. They're not able to think beyond. Their energy is so low that they're not able to think new thoughts, therefore create new actions, therefore move forward. They are stuck simply in a coping stage, and all you can get from them is mere compliance, no innovation. The key is how to get them back up to the beautiful state, as it is for you. It starts first with you as the leader. How do you get up to the beautiful state? Because in the examined mind, and this is what's really important about it, is that we need to understand what's actually going on in the brain to make the flip, make the switch. Next slide.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, it's coming to me, Bruce. This is it. This is the thing, right?
No, absolutely. So the most important competency is number one. Well, it's actually two. Number one, to be aware of when you've dropped down into a triggered state, when you've dropped down into that resourceless suffering state, and you pick it because it feels awful. But then the most important competency is then how do you move back? And not just, because I remember when I was commission-only sales, I could be working hard on a long-term game, and at the last minute, 11th hour, someone would pull out. It would take me 3 days to overcome the suffering. Why wait 3 days? Because with understanding, you can flip back into what's called mental agility, resilience, flip back within half an hour, more quickly. So the understanding, this is why we call it the most important competency in life, because we're going to be faced with more challenges, is how to flip back and remain 70%, 70 to 80% in the beautiful, resourceful state, as opposed to 70 to 80% in the resourceless, suffering state. So that's what, as you can tell by my enthusiasm around this is what blows my hair back. And this is what we're talking around when we say business success without the pain. Suffering is the pain. How do we move out of that? You need to have the understanding as to flipping into the beautiful state. Clearly the tools, the training for yourself as an individual, but also for your team. So this is right at the core of our message: business success without the pain, business success by staying in the beautiful state. So that's
so Bruce, I mean, it's sorry to interrupt. So it's not just a message, but there is a way out of it, right? So I can tell you from having gone through this with somebody who's gone through the cycles of despair in this ridiculous kind of work environment. We didn't really know how we're getting out of it. I was able to help get out of it, but I know there's a method to this, but it's not obvious, right? So it's not obvious to people that there is actually a method. And I think
there's actually about 3 methods, and they all grow and build on each other, but absolutely. So the outcome is to live consistently in that beautiful state. Yeah.
Right.
So I have one last question for you, the watchers and listeners to this, and that is, how many hours a day do you spend in a suffering state? Anxious, worried, overwhelmed, uncertain, conflicted, indecisive. As I said, research says 70. My experience in life is much higher. So if you think about that's a huge proportion of your day is disempowered. It's actually not just the suffering and the pain of that state, but also your inability, the opportunity cost of taking decisive action, inspired action, and moving your business forward. And this is called malaise. It's called low morale. And there's very little done around how do you shift it, because so many of the suggested approaches are outside in, as opposed to this is actually getting inside the hood and understanding how to turn or pivot within oneself.
Yeah, and I would just say that, from my experience working in a number of different environments, people kind of just accept the fact that this is happening. It's just a way of life without recognizing how to address it, right? One, an acknowledgement it happens, and two, there is a way out of it, and you can control it. And that, I think, is a huge takeaway that just people don't think about. So you definitely got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do next? As always, we'd love to have a conversation with you to figure out, obviously where you are in your business, where you are as a person, what state are you in? Have you come to the realization that you're spending too much time in this suffering state? If that's the case, we want to talk, and we just encourage you to message Bruce or myself on Facebook. As always, you can do that for anything. And then, if you want to take it offline separately, just send me an email at chrisshear@cofocusmi.com. And then finally, we're still offering this free diagnostic assessment, this tool that Mike Kramer, our other partner, developed with the Baldrige Alliance. It's researched, it's proven. It's a great diagnostic assessment for your company. Take you about 15 minutes. If you take it, just be sure to put my name in as your business coach. We have a lot of people taking this. We want to make sure that it comes back to our team. And we'll walk you through that. We'll give you an understanding of what this objective assessment is telling you. And we'd love to have a conversation around that, right? And I'm sure Bruce would like to peek into the one part that maybe doesn't come out of that assessment, which is what's going on, in your mind, right? That absolutely requires a conversation. I don't think we have an assessment around it yet, but Bruce, anything else you want to say about that?
No. Well, I mean, I could talk for hours on it, but for now, no.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Bruce, for pulling this together. I really have to say to everybody, like it completely hit me as he was talking about this, and I've seen this for a long time now, for more than a year, and I finally actually saw it completely in action, and it's great to know that there's a way out of it. So, thanks again for listening to us, and reach out. We'd love to have a conversation with you.
Bye now.